Hey gamers, it's G from the corner, and it finally happened. They finally have announced the Nintendo Switch 2 after months, for some people, years of waiting for them to reveal this thing. Nintendo has gone ahead, waited as long as possible. The entire hardware is design leaked, but hey, here we are. Here's the console, and we even got a glimpse at the new Mario Kart. You know, this is pretty fresh in my mind. Not sure when this is going to go up, but it has been merely a few hours since the reveal at this time, all right? And, you know, I'm just reeling from it all. It was a roller coaster of emotions this morning. We were trying to get things set up. We were like, oh, is it even going to happen? Or is everybody in the know, really know? And they did. Yep, it happened. 8 a.m., bright and early. We grabbed breakfast, and, well, they revealed the Switch 2. So I just figured, you know what? Let's just give my immediate thoughts. Like, no time to like really sit and think and discuss with anybody else. Just me, G, alone. Here's what I think about the Switch 2. I think it's great. You know, as much as people want to, let's just start with the name. As much as people want to dock Nintendo for going very basic, something that you would expect out of Sony or Microsoft with their console naming choices, the Nintendo Switch 2 is the exact thing that everybody wants. Everybody loved the Switch. The Switch was fantastic. It's maintained this progression, this standard of, how do I put this, appreciation. It's not that it was fantastic, it is fantastic. The system still sells decently enough despite being 8 years old, and everybody loves it. It's not like the Wii where it was kind of a fad or something. Like, people want the Nintendo Switch but more powerful, and also they want all those amazing Nintendo games, again, you know, series that haven't seen entries in a long time, series that are bigger that people have been expecting were being held off for the Switch 2 for the longest time, or well, whatever Nintendo's successor console would be. I always had the hope until about last year that they would have had some funky name, but, you know, at a certain point you realize, okay, it probably is just going to be the Switch 2, and, you know, leaks were piling up over the holidays, and yeah, here it is, the Nintendo Switch 2. What is it? It's a bigger Switch, new controllers, new features in the controllers. It looks different. It's a hell of a lot more powerful. That's the big thing. That's definitely the biggest thing they're going to be highlighting during the Nintendo Switch 2 Direct and all of their future plans and such. That's all definitely going to be a major sticking point for them. Honestly, I think it looks cool. I think it's exactly what they needed to do. They needed to just make a cooler, modern, sleek Switch with higher fidelity and such, and it seems like that's what they're doing here. You really only get that if you're a crazy psycho like me and my friends and are overanalyzing the Mario Kart trailer, picking apart, realizing that the animations are much higher quality and there's up to 24 characters on the track at once and you don't see any like 2D PNG audience members, you know, like very specific things will kind of communicate that this system is probably a decently more powerful than the Switch, but I think it'll mostly come down to how third-party games run and games from devs who were less accustomed to working on the Switch's architecture. Like, I'm sure when we see Pokemon on Switch 2, it'll actually look a heck of a lot better than the last few games have. But, you know, again, the reveal itself, do I think it was a good reveal? You know, I was going into this kind of worrying that it was literally just going to be the hardware. Like, we were only going to see the hardware. You didn't even see my reaction. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh, there it is, finally. They finally revealed it. But by the end, I'm starting to think, okay, they're not going to show software. And then, bam, that little bit of Mario Kart, that did it for me. That was absolutely phenomenal. That was what I needed to see. Because, you know, I think it was Kid and Krista, former Nintendo employees, who said this. But, like, Nintendo does not sell hardware for hardware's sake. They sell hardware of software. So, in their mind, it would be very uncharacteristic to not show anything of any game during this reveal trailer, as the rumors were suggesting, or really just hearsay from Nate that apparently it wasn't gonna happen, or there wasn't gonna be games shown. I was kind of believing that, oh, there definitely won't be games shown because the reveal was happening the same day this bad boy came out. I went to pick it up literally right after the trailer dropped. Haven't started yet. Probably gonna do that later. But, you know, like, I figured they don't want to take away from that game's release, so they probably maybe even have a brief mention that, hey, you know, games on the Switch 1 are backwards compatible on Switch 2, and not show any actual Switch 2 games. But they did, and I mean, it wasn't a lot. It was barely anything, if anything. Obviously, people are going to be combing over that for months now. Mario Kart on the Switch 2. Finally, a new Mario Kart for the first time since I was 10 years old. I am very happy. I am very, very, very happy about this. I am excited for this. I cannot wait to play this game. probably in about 6 months. I'm expecting the launch is still middle of the year because they have their big Switch 2 Direct. That's airing April 2nd. And from just a few weeks after that, they're going to be doing all those big around the world tours where they're going to be having Switch 2s set up at special events where you can try out. I'm sure all of the games are going to show off during that Direct. So I'd expect, like, you don't do something like that. You know, obviously that's going to be a preview event, but it doesn't sound to me like that's a launch event. Now, it could be a launch event. They could just be like, oh, it's out that day. But I feel like that'd be kind of a dick move because I don't really care to go. I mean, there will probably be demos for games that aren't out, but I wouldn't really care to go to it if I already had one. For the record, I'm going to the Toronto one. I better be able to get tickets to that. Fingers crossed. Apparently, it's a raffle thing they're doing, so anybody can register from tomorrow until next, not even next week, actually. I think it's the 26th, so it's a bit of a ways off. But yeah, you know, showing Mario Kart in the reveal trailer, that was great, because it's like, it's a new game that we haven't had in a long time, that people have been wanting to see, and it's a big game. Obviously, it's going to be their launch game, because why else would you, what else, you wouldn't show a game that isn't your launch game as the first game you're showing for your new console, right? Very small tease, and it was great that it was only one game. One criticism that young me, like 12-year-old me, had of the Switch 1's reveal was they showed a bunch of teases for games. They didn't really give full elaboration on those games, and they waited until January to fully elaborate on most of those games. Most of the most exciting ones, like Mario and Splatoon, were in that little trailer. So, like, okay, it was cool, right? It was, you know, seeing those games, like, for the first time in the moment was cool, and then seeing them again in the January show was cool. But the issue was, you didn't get the full reveal then, so it was like, oh, well, whatever, we'll get the full reveal later. And then you get the full reveal at an event months later where you would have probably wanted to see some new games, you know. And there was new games announced at the Switch presentation, but showing just one game is amazing. We probably don't even know the full launch lineup. I'm thinking we get 2 games at launch, probably something super casual. I feel like you can't just... I feel like EPD4 has to be turning out some 1-2 Switch, Nintendo Land, Switch Sports kind of thing for the launch of this new console. I mean, maybe it'll utilize the mouse Joy-Con. Maybe we'll see some dual mouse gaming. Gotta get that one trending. Dual mouse gaming. I've been saying it in every video now. I don't know, right? We'll see what the launch games are when we get closer to the event, obviously. I thought personally, again, it was cool seeing the hardware. It's unfortunate that a lot of the details leaked, like a lot more of the details than I thought. I didn't think it was going to be that shot for shot. I thought there would have been some noticeable differences, but whatever. The straps didn't leak, so there's that, I guess. Again, that was cool. It was cool to finally just see the thing. Obviously, wish stuff didn't get leaked, but whatever. Seeing Mario Kart, though, that was the cherry on top for me. That was what made me actually go from, okay, this was a cool reveal, to this was an amazing reveal. And I am so incredibly excited. You know, we have finally entered this new era. It's been 8 years of Nintendo Switch, and now here we are, Nintendo Switch 2. They gave us the full rundown, man. I think that was the thing that got me the most excited. It's just like, it feels like we quite literally have flipped the switch, and we've gone from, okay, you know, what's coming out in 2025 from Nintendo? The Pokemon and Metroid, which maybe we'll show later. I don't know. We don't want to talk about those right now. Oh, you can buy Donkey Kong Country Returns HD, you know? Like, just very... whatever, like nothing crazy, and just like this feeling of they don't want to communicate what's going on. We know why, but like, you know, it's nice that we just I feel like we're right in it now. It's like, okay, we've seen the console, we got a brief glimpse of a game, here's a date for a direct, here's a date for a bunch of tours around the world, and we're probably going to be getting the release sometime around that. The final currently dated event ends on June 1st, so I would expect sometime after that, maybe like late June, early July, we see the console. Again, I don't think you go around the world 6 months before launch, so I definitely don't think it's a holiday release. But, you know, it's exciting, right? I feel like, and also there's still some games that are Switch 1 bound that are left. Everybody who was saying that this was going to happen is pretty certain that we're getting a February General Direct focused on Switch 1 games, which is kind of, you know, what I was expecting. Whether it's a general mini or partner showcase, something along those lines, we'll see. But I do kind of feel like a direct without Switch 2 presence is due for the very near future. And it might have a few more games to fill out the first half of the year, you know, and then maybe the second half starts, it's like, bam, all right, here's some crazy Switch 2 games, right? What else do I think could be at launch? Again, I'm just thinking maybe Switch Sports 2, and then maybe if Nintendo wants to cram in a cross-release game, like, okay, crazy thought, but what if Prime 4 comes out the day of the Switch 2, and it's got a Switch 2 SKU. Maybe it doesn't have a Switch 2 SKU, but they advertise it coming out, being playable on Switch 2. I don't know. I don't know how they want to do things. We'll find out how things end up going, you know, in a few months, obviously, when they reveal the thing. Could we get the release date, or a window at least, before the actual thing? I don't know. I feel like the only place that would really make sense for that to happen would be at the investor meeting, February 4th. Be on the lookout for that. I feel like something's going to come out of that. Whether it's Switch 2 related or Switch related, I feel like Nintendo's going to make something known to them that day. I don't know why. I'm just getting the feeling that that's going to happen. Other things, I'm just excited. I'm just really excited. That trailer left me feeling so giddy and upbeat. We're in this fresh new era of Nintendo, and it's not like last year was a terrible year for them, but you could tell that things were kind of, you know, they were trying to get this stuff ready to go the second the year started. Like, you know, I had a fun time with their games last holiday. Brothership, Mario Party, Zelda were all fantastic. I knew that there was something big brewing, and I'm happy to finally see it. New Mario Kart, 3D Mario, Animal Crossing, all games I expect to see at this big Switch 2 Direct. I'm not going to go in expecting literally every major Nintendo franchise, because I know that they aren't going to all show up in the first year of the system's life, but we're going to see a few big things. This is it. The Switch 2 era is here, and I'm very excited to be covering as much of it as I can over the next months and years. But yeah, that's all I wanted to say right now. Definitely going to have a lot more Switch 2 coverage in the coming weeks. Don't you worry. The train isn't stopping anytime soon. That's for sure. Keep yourselves cornered, and I will see you guys on the next one. Later.